Hello, everybody. NC4XL, North Carolina for extreme lovers. Oh, I'm not. Just Dom, the darling old man. Sort of in a relaxing mode. And in talking with KN4XP, he too is an activator. And we were talking about something that's very important to both of us when we're out in a park. One of the things that we have to uh, put up with is time. So I thought I would share our conversation a little bit. And I'm sharing it to you hunters, really, that may not realize, and you activators, or soon to be activators, may not realize what's all involved in this four-letter word, TIME. But I'm going to share some things with you, and hopefully you'll consider it when you go out to become an activator, and or as a hunter, you'll appreciate your activators a little bit more. Not that you don't. I am not complaining in any way, shape, or form. But there are many folks, and we don't want you to ever go out and activate because somebody else pressured you into it. We want you to enjoy it. So we're just sharing a little bit of time about activating. When Mike and I go out, or any activator goes out, the first element that they're going to be dealing with is the length of time it takes to get there, to wherever they're going. Some people cross the state, cross several states, drive into their locations. Me, if you get to work the darling old man, generally speaking, it's about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on where I go, to get to my parks. And I only activate about 11 out of the 23 I have activated. Time just to get there is not including the time to get back. Okay? The time to set up your antennas. Let's talk about the antennas. If you're driving in, you have an ATOS like I do, or you have a hamstick like I do. It's pretty instantaneous. You can get on the air and rocking and rolling. Really works great when you're running a robe or in inclement weather. My age has got to the point now I could justify the expense on the ATOS antenna because I got tired of hanging on the side of an automobile trying to put the other hamstick or be driving along and somebody changes bands on me and I want to chase that park, and so the ATOS became a justifiable expense. When you get out to an activation, depending on your antenna of choice, the Wolf River, we have one, generally set up for two bands, and it's a great antenna, does well. Run your radios out, 3 radios, 33 feet. Some people do 16 feet. Some people do 8 sets of radios. Some people do elevator radios. Some people put out a TDL, Tactical Delta Loop by Chameleon. Buddy sticks. There's so many different types of antennas. Even the end-fed. When we go out, if anybody's heard me operate, we run a 10 through 40 by KO4 Fox Sierra Zulu. Also the Vibraplex. Both excellent antennas. I support locally a young man who's built my 17-meter antenna also. and half the price I was paying for commercially made, and I'm very satisfied. The length of time that it takes to set up for me, and remember, everything is what I do, and you have to place where, as an activator, you're at, and what amount of time you're spending getting ready. The end fed takes me about 20 minutes to set up both of them. At my normal parks, quote unquote, what I go to all the time. I know where my tree is. I use my fishing pole. I don't have an arbor. I don't worry about throwing my arm out. I use the fishing pole pretty darn good for an old man. And I'm up 60 feet, 70 feet sometimes. And I'm not going to, well, it's not high enough and take it down and start all over. I throw it up. And if the good Lord gets it up 50 feet, I'm satisfied. If it gets it up 65 feet, I'm even satisfied again. But if I don't get 65 feet and I'm up 50 feet and it's good to go, that's where we're going to go at and be satisfied. That's time. It takes time to set it up, to run your cable or coax from your transformer end to wherever you're going to set your operating desk, so to speak, at. To run your ties to tie off to a tree or a post or whatever. If you're running a Wolf River, it takes time to get it tuned. It takes time to tweak. And that's time that gets into your activation. Okay? For those of you that follow what I do, I go early in the morning. Why? Because to me, that's what opens up on the East Coast. That time is very important for me because I need to work all the contacts that I can because that's why I go out. Not everybody wants to do what I want to do. Okay? I work early in the morning. I work the 40 meters and generally I go from 40 to 20 or up the band up to 17 and then back to 20, 15, 10, 12, etc. But I want to work the bands while they're open, while things are populating. And in the West, it's totally different from the time that I'm doing my thing because of propagation. The whole thing that I've talked about so far is your activator spends an awful lot of time and hasn't nibbled on food, hasn't gone to the P rack, okay, hasn't taken time to switch antennas. For myself, we use a multi-band end fed, so I'm good to go. I don't have a tuner in line because they're resident antenna. When it comes to the Wolf River coil, great antenna. I'm not knocking it, but sometimes it's a pain in the butt to tweak. I haven't used the buddy stick. Was talking about maybe getting a hex beam, but from those videos I've observed, it takes about an hour to set it up. Well, the other side of the setup is called takedown. It takes about an hour to take it down. And that's an issue. So I'm going to do some math. And the math is for me, but I want you to think for every activator that you as a hunter are chasing. And God, we appreciate you hunters. Don't you ever think I don't want your contact or the next activator doesn't want your contact, because they do. But the other side of it is shutting down and going home. Okay, wherever home is. Some people are fortunate to have a park 15 minutes from the house and they can go to it frequently and drive up and drive out. A lot of people do that. Uh, that's great if that activator, that's what they want to do, or that's the only means that they have. They might be in an area where they can't put up an antenna. So as a hunter, you just have to go with your activator's circumstances. Brian runs nothing but ham sticks. Awesome when he runs. He runs good. He's got everything like it's supposed to. If you go out with James, James will run the Eagle One on, if I'm not mistaken, a hitch mount. Okay. And there's several other activators out there that have managed their time. And when they run to get their contacts, it's because two things. They know the band's going to close, or they know that the band's in hail. And here lately, the bands have been pretty rough. But we've also had some good days too. That up there is Onyx, Mama's cat. I call her a stiletto cat. My young man, he's resting in the other room, and I decided to do this video out here. There's a lot, hunters, there's a lot of things that you don't see. There may be a lot of things that you don't quite understand that an activator does to prepare for an activation or to complete an activation. Sometimes you have to take a break for a half an hour and wait for the storm to pass, literally. It's still within the 24-hour UTC time, so you can still get the park activated, but it takes time. And if any of your activators are on a rope, that's where they're going for 5, 10, or 15, 20 or better parks. And I know you want to work them and they want to work you, but if they're going to do 12 or 14 contacts or so, it's that's their activation. Please don't be upset. Please don't make a snide remark on Facebook about, well, they didn't stick around. You're not out there activating. I'm not complaining about the cost of gas. One day it's $2.97 a gallon, the next day it's $3.39 a gallon, and that's in the same gas station a day apart. We don't understand what goes on here, and I'm sure it's familiar in other places. But your activators, they're having to spend that, and that's how dedicated to Parks on the Air they are too. I have done the same thing. I know that it cost me $50 to fill up and to run out to a park an hour and 20 minutes away. I got an hour and 20 minutes coming back. But the best part that I have about an activation is the time that I get to spend with you. Making the contacts, making the operator to operator. I love working the park to parks. I keep trying to tell new activators, go out and focus on the park to parks first. Work those park to parks first so that you have less stress on activating your park, and then afterwards you can stand the pileups and work all the hunters that are out there. Any of you hunters have questions that you want to ask, a topic that you're interested in getting an opinion? All I have is an opinion. It's like in the back of the anatomy, all of us had that, but I'll be glad to share it. I am not better than nobody. I've been around a day or two, and I'll share it if you listen to it. If you're interested in it, ask. So today's topic is simply time. The time that an activator incurs in order to go out and run a park or parks close in or across the state. I even got to work a buddy of mine who lives here in Carolinas, and one of his goals was to try to work an activation in as many states as he can, and he got to activate Alaska. So that's a hard one for a lot of people. 73, thank you for your patience and your time. May God bless you. Just remember the activator and the hunter need each other. I'll catch you on the airways. NC4XL, North Carolina for extreme lovers, but I'm not. And my little Onyx, I don't know where she went to, but I'll get another picture of her one day and share. 73s, have fun.